Our next guests are responsible for some of the most successful and influential video games in the history of the medium. They've got something new in the works. From Absurd Ventures, please welcome Dan Houser and Lazlow. Welcome.
Thank you.
So good to have you here at Comic-Con. So Absurd Ventures has released podcasts and comic books so far, including the popular American Caper comic series. And I think you have a big announcement to make about issue number 12. Is that right?
Yeah, it's going to be a double issue. We decided
double stuffed.
We had too much story to wrap up. So yeah, it's like 44 story pages.
Well, you're billing issue number 12, I think, as the season finale. So what does that mean about the possible future of American Caper?
Well, yeah, we introduced a lot of characters. Dan's known for a lot of characters come out of his head. And so we told, I think, I've sort of lost track of how many characters and stories that we follow, but it comes to a messy conclusion.
A messy season conclusion, and that's the end of our time in Wyoming.
Okay.
And we are moving from a red state to a blue state for the next story arc that will begin in a few months after the end of issue 12.
Okay, interesting. You're sort of the main writer on this, but Lazlow, you also contribute writing, right? How does that work? How does that relationship work?
Well, we've worked together a long time,
yeah,
so he's good at cleaning up the mess I make, and I take the first pass, and then we tune it together, write all the ancillary stuff, all the ads and whatnot that are going around the side, and he helps shape it all.
You're working on video games for so long. Are comics something you were always passionate about, something you always wanted to make your own of?
Yeah, we did a little comic arc for Max Payne 3, and really enjoyed doing that. And when we're doing new stuff, just wanted to do another black comedy, crime, fiction story, but maybe not in the video game space. So we're looking at other materials that would be fun to do as a comic book.
So you've got this, Absurd Ventures. You have the Absurdiverse. What can you tell us about what's next for the Absurdiverse?
Well, we've got 3 universes at Absurd Ventures, and we try and put all of our stories in those. One is American Caper, one is A Better Paradise, and one is the Absurdiverse, which is more out-and-out bad taste comedy. And we got some animation stuff we're working on in that, and also a video game, open world video game we haven't properly announced yet, but we're working on in that space as well.
Would that be the comedy action adventure game that's been hinted at?
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, the other
I would love to hear some more about that.
The other one is definitely not a comedy. The other video game work at the moment is definitely less of a comedy.
Okay.
You know, they're both open world games, so they've both got hopefully some serious elements, hopefully some comic bits. I think with an open world game, it can't be one note for if it's going to be interesting. But the Absurdiverse game is definitely more of a comedy. Okay. And it's being developed up in Marin with our studio there, and it's shaping up really exciting.
So you got a lot you're working on. How are you deciding how to split your time these days?
Mostly with panic.
Okay.
A lot of panic.
Okay. All right, well, so we're just about 4 months away from the launch of Grand Theft Auto 6, which I think is going to be kind of a big deal. What's it like experiencing sort of the run-up to this launch from the outside this time?
I don't know. It's fine.
It's fine?
I'm not really heavily, it's not something I used to do, so I'm not really super engaged in it. Like, it's things we used to work on, and it's going to go great for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've been focused on these 2 open world games that we're working on.
Sure.
And when Dan and I, for many years, we were like a media output machine, because we were making radio inside the games, we were making newspapers that you could read in Red Dead, and we loved animation. We loved making the cartoons like Republican Space Rangers and Princess Robot Bubblegum. And so when we started Absurd Ventures, we said, well, we want to tell new stories, and we like making animation. We love, obviously, talk radio. That's how we sort of met and first started collaborating. But then with American Caper, Dan said, I really want to make a comic book. And he was a huge fan of comics in the UK, and I was a huge fan of comics in the scene here in the 80s with, Vertigo and Watchmen and all that. And so we started on this journey not really knowing what we were doing, and got a lot of talented people to help us along the way, from the editor to the artist, and it became a great collaborative effort. And there's a lot of stuff in there that makes me laugh, especially the fake ads. That's part of the world building that we're known for.
Yeah. Okay, so both big comic fans. Dan, what's your favorite comic series of all time?
Asterix.
Asterix, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny because it's not as popular here in the US.
No, but it's big all over Europe.
And yeah, that's what we hear.
It's less big in England, but it's still pretty big in England.
Because there have been games made that have been released over here, and sometimes at IGN we talk about these games, and we're like, what is this stuff? And then our European fans will be like, what? I cannot believe you don't know Asterix and Obelix.
Yeah, it's nothing over here.
Yeah.
My kids read it because I forced them to read it, but it's big in the UK and massive in mainland Europe.
Yeah, sure. Lazlow, how about you?
I was into the Vertigo titles. I think Fables was one of my favorite titles of all time. And then next thing I know, we're working with the editor that brought that series to life, that received the pitch for Fables and said, we have to publish this. And so Shelley Bond worked a lot of she worked a lot of years at Vertigo, and she said to Dan and I, this feels like one of those classic old Vertigo books that doesn't pull any punches and has comedic violence and stuff that we love.
Bad taste, black comedy.
Yeah, sure. Bad taste. I also love these things. So you're working on these games. There's a lot of discussion happening right now about physical media versus digital. Do you have an opinion? Do you want your games to be released on physical media? Do you not care?
I don't know that I care, but if people want that, I think companies should provide it. But I don't know that I personally care.
Sure.
And I also think that the ability to update games, as critical as people are of digital releases, the ability to update and fix problems in games has been really useful for the quality of games.
Lazlow, how about you?
And well, I mean, we all have that sort of feeling of, when you get that copy and you put the disc in the console. But I also have to say, I really like being at the airport and going, oh, cool, I can download some quick games to my Steam Deck for this 12-hour flight. So that's what's been interesting. We've worked in digital together for a lot of years, and then making a physical product of a comic book is a different creative process, but also just really fulfilling to have a physical thing you can say, like, look, we made a thing.
Sure. I love physical media.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone does.
Yeah. Just something about it feels good.
Yeah,
right?
flicking through it.
Yeah,
And
you're flicking
the
through
paper quality,
So the entire gaming landscape changing very quickly, but it takes a long time to make a game. So that must be a struggle. Like you're toiling away working on this game, but you don't really know exactly what the scene is going to look like when you finally land with a finished product. It must be a challenge, right?
Always. Yeah, of course. It's completely terrifying. And you hope you've got something that both is original and will stay original, and that the market wants when you bring it out. It's a huge, scary risk every time.
So last year, in another interview with IGN, you told us that Red Dead Redemption 2 was your favorite project you ever worked on. Is there something special in that game that maybe goes unnoticed or unappreciated by the fans?
No, I think the fans have been over it, been over it with a fine-tooth comb now, sort of 6-7 years later, 8 years later. They have really been over it and probably know more about it than I do at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the reception and the continued love for it has been wonderful to watch.
Well, congrats on the success of American Caper. I look forward to digging into that. Thank you so much for coming by the IGN stage here.
Thank you for having us.
Can't wait to hear more about everything you're working on, especially those games. There is more Comic-Con still to come right here on IGN.
Thank you, man.
Hold on 1 sec.